The sun rises over the eastern desert, casting long, jagged shadows across the Nile Valley, signaling the beginning of a day that has not been seen for over 3,000 years. Through the power of modern artificial intelligence, the faded hues of limestone walls and the brittle pages of papyrus scrolls are breathing again. We are not merely looking at ruins. We are stepping through a digital portal, a reconstruction of time itself, where the air is thick with the scent of blooming lotus flowers and the heavy, rich aroma of wet river mud. This is not the Egypt of golden death masks and silent stoic statues. This is the vibrant beating heart of the new kingdom, a world of color, noise, and profound humanity brought back to life with a clarity that feels almost supernatural. As the dawn light floods the streets of ancient Thebes, we witness a civilization that believed life was eternal. And now, through the lens of technology, that belief has finally been granted. As the morning mist lifts off the river, the first sounds of the city pierce the cool air. It is the distinct, rhythmic splashing of water against stone. The Nile is the absolute master of this world, the giver of all things, and its pulse dictates the rhythm of existence. We see a visualization of the riverbanks, not as barren sand, but as lush, green strips of paradise teeming with life. Birds with plumage of iridescent blue and orange take flight from the papyrus marshes. On the water, skiffs made of bundled reeds glide silently, guided by men standing tall, pushing against the current with wooden poles. Their faces, reconstructed with precision from genetic and anthropological data, are not the generic features of Hollywood stereotypes, but the distinct, strong visages of the Northeast African people, the high cheekbones, the dark eyes filled with purpose. They are fishing for tilapia and perch, a catch of the day that will soon be smoking in clay ovens throughout the city. Walking away from the riverbank, we enter the mud brick walls of a typical residential neighborhood. The streets here are narrow, winding, and chaotic, a labyrinth of high walls designed to keep out the heat and the noise. We step inside a two-story home belonging to a middle-class craftsman. The cool interior is a relief from the growing heat outside. The walls, once plastered with lime and painted in bright ochre and yellow, are now faded in reality, but in our recreation, they glow with freshness. In the center of the room is an open-air courtyard, the heart of the domestic sphere. Here, a woman kneels before a small clay oven. She is not a slave, but the lady of the house, her hair styled in an intricate long braid, protected by a linen scarf. She is shaping dough made from emmer wheat, a gritty, coarse grain that was the backbone of the Egyptian diet. As she places the flat bread against the hot inner walls of the oven, we can almost smell the nutty, earthy scent filling the courtyard. Her daughter, a girl of no more than 7, plays in the corner with a wooden doll carved in the shape of a fertility figurine and a leather ball stuffed with straw. The sound of her laughter mixes with the distant lowing of cattle being driven through the main thoroughfare. This was a society that loved children deeply, viewing them as the greatest blessing of the gods. The AI models allow us to see the texture of their lives, the rough linen of their tunics, the simple clay cups they drink from, the worn amulets around their necks meant to protect against evil spirits. It is a scene of profound domesticity, shattering the myth that ancient Egypt was only obsessed with death. It was, in reality, intensely obsessed with the joys of living. As the sun reaches its zenith, the streets empty of those who do not need to be outside. The heat in Thebes is oppressive, a physical weight that presses down on the chest. But for the scribes, the work does not stop. We transition to the cool, shaded interior of the House of Life, a scribal school attached to a temple. Here, the air is scented with ink and crushed wood. The silence is broken only by the scratching of reed pens on pottery shards and papyrus. We zoom in on a young scribe, his brow furrowed in concentration. He is practicing hieroglyphs, the sacred script of the gods. In this recreated world, the hieroglyphs are not just static symbols. They seem to shimmer with meaning. A master scribe looms over him, carrying a stick not to beat, but to point. The relationship between teacher and student was strict, but deeply respected. We hear the teacher's voice echoing through the chambers, reciting the wisdom of the ages, texts that have survived for millennia. He tells the boy that the scribe is the one who does not work in the fields, who does not break his back under the sun, but who commands respect through his mind. We see the visualization of the texts themselves, black ink made from carbon, red ink from iron oxide, the meticulous box drawings of the animals and gods. This was the internet of the ancient world, a database of knowledge, administration, and magic, preserved by a privileged elite who understood the power of the written word. While the scribes work in the shade, a different world churns in the fields beyond the city walls. It is the season of parade, the season of growing. The AI reconstruction shows us the intricate system of irrigation canals that turned the desert black earth into a breadbasket. We see teams of men using the shaduf, a simple yet ingenious lifting device, to pour water from the canals into the basins of wheat and barley. The physical toll is evident. These men are bronzed and muscular, their loincloths simple and stained with mud. They sing work songs to synchronize their movements, a low rhythmic chanting that carries across the flat, green landscape. This was the engine of the empire, the sweat and muscle that fed the millions and built the monuments. But it is not all endless toil. We see a moment of respite. A farmer pauses to wipe the sweat from his brow, sharing a piece of bread and a jar of beer with his neighbor. Beer here is not the alcoholic beverage of modern bars. It is a thick, nutritious soup, the fuel that powers the empire. It is drunk by everyone, from the youngest child to the pharaoh himself, often safer to drink than the water from the river. Through the AI's eye, we see the froth on the jar, the mud brick shelters where the laborers rest, and the sense of camaraderie that binds them. They are the backbone of Ma'at, the cosmic order that keeps chaos at bay. As the afternoon begins to wane, we move to the workshops of the artisans, the men who decorated the tombs in the Valley of the Kings. In the workers' village of Deir el-Medina, life is highly organized. These are the elite craftsmen, the tomb painters and sculptors. We enter a workshop illuminated by shafts of sunlight cutting through the stone dust. The air is filled with the vibrant smell of pigments lapis lazuli ground from Afghanistan, malachite from the Sinai, ochre from the desert hills. A painter is touching up the face of a goddess on a piece of limestone. The colors are electric. The blue is impossibly deep. The gold leaf shines with the brilliance of the sun itself. The tools of their trade lay scattered around chisels made of copper, polished stone hammers, pallets made of wood. We see the artist mixing gum arabic with honey to bind the paint, a secret recipe passed down through generations. These men were not mere laborers. They were educated, literate, and deeply spiritual. They believed that by painting the tombs, they were actively participating in the afterlife, ensuring the resurrection of their kings and, by extension, themselves. The recreation allows us to see the pride in their work, the delicate brushstrokes that have lasted for eternity, capturing the essence of a people who sought to defeat time itself. As the sun begins to dip towards the western horizon, the father of the house returns home. The family gathers for the evening meal. The table is low to the ground, and they sit on woven reed mats. The meal is simple but satisfying: roast duck, bread, beer, and assortment of vegetables like onions, leeks, and garlic, staples of the Egyptian diet known for their health benefits. We see the interaction between the family members. It is a scene instantly recognizable to any modern viewer. The father asks about the children's lessons. The mother recounts the gossip from the market. They laugh, they argue, they love. The AI rendering captures the subtle micro-expressions on their faces, the wrinkles around the eyes of the father, the gentle smile of the mother. It humanizes them, stripping away the millennia of dust to reveal the universal human experience that binds us all across the ages. After the meal, entertainment takes center stage. The family does not watch screens. They listen to music and play games. We see the older brother bringing out a wooden board game called Senate. It is a game of chance and strategy, a race to the afterlife, reflecting the Egyptian belief in navigating the underworld. The pieces are moved based on the throw of casting sticks or knuckle bones. The family cheers and groans with each roll, the competitive spirit alive and well. In the corner, a servant or perhaps one of the daughters plays a harp or a lute, the melody drifting into the cool night air. Music was not just art. It was a remedy for the heart, a way to appease the gods, and a central part of every celebration. As night fully descends, the city transforms. The darkness of the ancient world is absolute, broken only by the glow of oil lamps burning castor oil or animal fat. The streets become dangerous and quiet, save for the patrols of the Medjay, the elite police force. The doors of the houses are bolted shut. Inside, the atmosphere shifts to one of introspection and spirituality. The household shrine is illuminated by a flickering flame. Small statues of Bez, the dwarf god of protection and childbirth, and Taurit, the hippo goddess of fertility, stand guard. The family offers a prayer or a libation of water to these household gods. This was not the grand religion of the massive temples, but the intimate, personal faith of everyday people. They feared illness, they feared accidents, and they sought the protection of the divine in the small, quiet moments of the night. We zoom out now, looking at the city of Thebes from above, a vast expanse of darkness punctuated by the warm glow of thousands of lamps. The great temples of Karnak and Luxor stand silhouetted against the starlit sky, their massive pylons pointing towards the heavens. The AI rendering simulates the stars, showing us how the ancients saw the constellations, the imperishable stars that circled the North Star, symbols of eternal life. The air is filled with the heavy silence of the desert, a silence that has swallowed empires. But there is a restlessness in this silence. We look closer at the Valley of the Kings, the vast hidden necropolis. Under the cover of darkness, something is stirring. We see shadows moving against the sand tomb robbers. Despite the curses, despite the horrific punishments promised in the Book of the Dead, the lure of gold and precious oils is too strong. This is the underbelly of the recreated world, the conflict that plagued the Egyptians, even in their prime. The robbers are not criminals in a modern sense, often but are starving villagers or even corrupt officials. The recreation shows us the tension, the greed, and the desperation that coexisted with the piety and order. It reminds us that this was a real society, with all the complexities and contradictions of the human condition. As the night wears on, we see the funerary preparations, not for a king, but for a wealthy commoner. In a tent near the necropolis, embalmers work by lamplight. This is a solemn, secretive process. The body is being treated with natron salt to dry it out. We see the tools of their trade hooks, canopic jars to hold the organs, linen bandages. The AI does not shy away from the reality of death, but treats it with the reverence the Egyptians held. Death was not the end, but a transition. The meticulous wrapping of the body is an act of love and hope, a preparation for the journey through the Duat, the underworld. The prayers of the priests mix with the chemical smells of the embalming fluids, creating an atmosphere of mystery and profound awe. Dawn breaks once more, and the cycle begins again. But this time, we notice something subtle. The colors seem slightly more vibrant, the crowds slightly larger. We are witnessing the passage of time, accelerated. We see the rise of a new pharaoh, the shifting of fashions in clothing and art. The reign of Akhenaten brings a brief, radical change, the worship of the sun disk, the Aten. We see the art style change to elongated faces and pot bellies, a surreal departure from the rigid traditions. Then, just as quickly, the old gods return under Tutankhamun. The AI reconstruction allows us to see these pendulum swings of history, the way society adapted to the whims of the divine rulers. We see the construction of massive monuments, thousands of toiling workers hauling massive stone blocks, a testament to the organizational genius and the sheer coercive power of the state. And then, the slow decline. The clouds gather. We see the central authority weaken. The reports of tomb robbing become more frequent. The military is less present. The bright, clean streets of the earlier era become slightly more worn. We feel the anxiety in the air, the fear that the cosmic order of Mat is unraveling. Foreign traders become more common in the markets. The empire that once stretched from the Sudan to the Euphrates is shrinking. The AI helps us visualize the end of an era not with a bang, but with a whimper, a slow erosion of confidence, a crumbling of the infrastructure, the silence of the oracles. Finally, the sands begin to reclaim the city. We watch in a breathtaking time lapse as the vibrant colors fade to the pale yellow of the limestone. The roofs of the mud brick houses collapse. The Nile shifts its course, abandoning the canals. The great temples are buried by drifting dunes. The people vanish, replaced by the ghosts of history. The bustling streets of Thebes are silent once more, lying hidden beneath the soil for millennia, waiting for the shovel of the archaeologist to wake them up. We are pulled back to the present, to the modern screen, where this digital reconstruction plays. The pixels fade, leaving us with a stark realization. What we have just seen was not fiction. These were real people who breathed, loved, feared, and dreamed just as we do. They laughed at the same jokes, worried about their children, and sought meaning in the stars. The AI models did not just create pretty pictures. They resurrected the humanity of a lost world. They bridged the gap of 3,000 years, allowing us to look into the eyes of a potter or a priest and recognize ourselves. As the final image of the setting sun over the pyramids of Giza lingers on the screen, perfectly recreated in its golden glory, we are left with a profound sense of connection. The Egyptians built for eternity because they believed in the endurance of the soul. Perhaps, in a way, they succeeded. Through the magic of science and storytelling, their everyday lives have outlasted the stone itself. The Nile still flows, the sun still rises, and the story of humanity continues. A single, unbroken thread stretching from the banks of the ancient river to the screens we watch today. In the end, we see that the technology did not create the life. It merely illuminated the eternal spark that has always resided within us all.